Here we go. Rivalry week is here. The buzz is in the air, and it is time to get back. Not so fun and casual, the rivalry, but a fun, casual conversation on Ohio State and Michigan. The game is Saturday. Nicole Cox is back.
Yes.
And just refreshed from a weekend in Arizona.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
I can't even stop. Look at these notes. This is not a note.
Those are copious.
Sitting
notes.
at
You guys, when
bottle
you're out-
blonde doing
Yep.
notes. I mean, that's impressive.
When
that
you-
you're taking
this is
notes.
all they had.
Oh, yeah, that's where they
That's
were.
all they had.
Hanging out with Jim?
Jim, yeah. I've been out there. Jim didn't show up to the bottle blonde when I was there, but was
No,
was
a
Jim
guy
right
named
there?
Tony.
Yeah.
So Dr. Tony, like he's the #1 dentist in Scottsdale, saw us walking on the street because I guess you had to have reservations.
Well, it's a
Get in.
big deal to go to a game out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this
The
is an
alumni
Ohio
club
State
takes
bar
over,
they
yeah.
have, okay? And I'm talking, it felt like we were right at home. It
The
was
guy
incredible.
that runs it used to run campus bars on and
Yeah, he
Which
runs
I
like
did not know
Scottsdale,
that.
like every
Scottsdale
nightclub.
nights.
Yeah, Scottsdale nights.
if you needed that, if you would have asked, I would have put you in touch. He loves Buckeyes.
Oh, he
and
loves everything.
He would have
Columbus,
got you
Ohio.
taken care of.
You guys, this guy sees us out there. He's like, "Are you guys? Are you wanting to come in to watch the game?" He goes, "Because my friends aren't showing up, and I have this table every week, and I like it to be full."
Who's this guy, Schlegs?
He was the greatest, the sweetest, and we had the best time ever. And I was like, I really want to take notes during the game because I knew we were flying
Hey,
home and I wouldn't be able
napkins?
to rewatch. So I just used the pieces of paper they had in the little raffle drawing on there. They had like little score predictions. You won like a free pizza. We didn't win anything, but it's okay. Brought the notes.
Well,
home.
the Buckeyes won,
So-
Nicole.
Was
They
the
did. It
old
was
time cheerleader
incredible.
there?
Just be glad.
Yes,
that-
Yeah,
she was. We got a
old time
picture with her.
cheerleader. Yeah,
Yeah, from
she
1969.
was there a couple years ago when I was out there. Yeah,
You guys,
it's awesome.
she had on her original cheer uniform from
That's great.
1969 when they won the national championship. It was incredible. She had so much spunk and it was amazing.
It's hilarious.
That's awesome.
Top
I'm
5
just, I'm just glad that you and Tony ended up being a nice guy and you didn't end up somewhere in
Guys-
the Mercer County desert. You know,
Guys,
Drink
all of our
these drinks I
husbands-
got for you guys.
All of our husbands were with us. We were in good shape.
Fair.
And there were a
So-
lot of
so
youngins there.
Mark
Hey,
could
now
have-
you never know.
No, there were a lot of youngins, so I
Okay.
think I've surpassed that. We don't have to worry about that.
So I didn't think Nicole wanted me to embarrass her with her notes, but I think it's awesome because she's committed,
Yes.
I mean, to the cause. Even at 10 a.m., Mountain Time out
Yeah,
there.
it was awesome.
Early.
It is
You know
early
what?
to watch a game out
You
there.
know
It
what,
was
that-
early.
we
when
didn't
you
even
do
think
noon.
about this. I mean, the real champions of the big noon kick are all the Buckeye fans in Mountain and Pacific time.
That's
who
right.
Now just have to wake up and really grind through a
Got
rough
a cup of
rough-
coffee and some breakfast. and
They're
then,
the ones that have it rougher with the kegs and eggs. Anyway, we're back at Roosters. We're getting set for Ohio State,
Yes.
Michigan Saturday at noon. Justin Zwick is here. Bobby Carpenter is here. And that was a significant win for the Buckeyes. We can't just move on. They beat an previously unbeaten top 5 opponent. I know that we're
2-1 against top 5 opponents.
Hey,
this
hey,
year.
now,
seems
let's
like-
go.
Ryan Day has doubled his win total against top 5 opponents, Bob.
And chance possibly for a third here and some redemption. So it's
And a mulligan,
amazing.
yeah.
You know what? Everybody wants the keys to the game to start fast. I'm just going to say start slow.
Yeah,
They seem
You
to
know,
it seems to work for us.
start
seem to have
slow.
adjusted to that
You know what?
mentality.
Maybe we'll take the ball and we'll still go 3-0.
Yeah.
We'll give it back.
We're
and let 'em
still just going to
give
let you go
them a
score
nice
first.
70-yard drive.
Yeah.
Then we'll get the ball back, have a nice drive, but then get stuffed. And there's your first quarter. 7-0,
Yeah.
2 possessions, 0 points, and Indiana dominated. But from that point on, I was out in Oklahoma, which that game out there was not like anything. I think the score could have been predicted, but flipping the teams may have been okay. So I'm trying to watch the game while I'm doing the pregame show. And I'm like, my gosh, we're moving the ball and we get stuffed. But then I kept looking at the numbers and we kept updating it because it's just a general college football pregame show. And it's like at one point, I'm like, after that first drive, they had like 4 or 5 drives and like 13 yards or something crazy.
They were progressively giving back all the yardage they gained in the first quarter.
Yes, until the final drive, which they ended up going and punching one in. I mean, you could argue, not that that was a meaningless score, but the game was in hand at that point. Like, just make them drive the football.
But they weren't in any great hurry to score. Bob.
No, it was like they weren't trying to win, just trying to get some points. Like, let's not give them the ball back.
Yeah, wanted to make it look better.
Well, Ryan, I think, acknowledged that.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stare downs going on, and
I love it.
Defense played well. And the best part was, and Austin, you've been there. I know Berm. We'll talk with him about it. Watching game day, I'm like, this is going to be a good crowd.
Yeah, it was.
There was a lot of people out there. It was the weather wasn't.
It was perfect for late November football. You couldn't ask for more.
And I think Saturday's going to be that. It's going to be colder, but it's going to be sunny, not crazy wind, no elements. it was an awesome time. And like you could feel the energy coming through on the television. I don't know if you could feel that.
Absolutely.
And that hasn't always been the case this year for those noon kicks.
Yeah, I think they talked about it all week, wanting that crowd. I mean, I think they put the pressure on them to show up to a game, and they did. It did seem very loud. Started slow, but that is kind of how this team works. You know, I mean, yeah, it's kind of how this team goes. Like, hey, we're going to spot you 7, and then we're just going to dismantle you and make you feel like you don't belong on the field with us, and that's kind of what happened. But, you know, we going into this game, I think we all kind of thought if we play our B-plus game, we should be fine, and I think that's kind of what we got. And maybe an A on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
But you know, the offense got the job done. I mean, Will Howard again, not great. I mean, he had over 200 yards, but it wasn't like he went off. But man, is he so good? What a pickup that he has been for
the
for
touchdown pass to Emeka.
Oh,
and you can talk about that.
Whew, yeah,
to like sculpt that in right over the D. It got tipped slightly.
Yeah, just slightly.
But I mean, I don't know if you wanted to try to put too much more on it. He was running out of real estate.
100%. So I mean, he's just been so good putting the ball right on the money for the most part, and even the interception hit Delaney right in the hands, and you know, it wasn't able to hold on to it. So you know, I think you know, and we needed that as well because I think halfway through the third quarter, we're averaging maybe 3 yards a run. Like the run game didn't seem to be, you know, really
weird.
great,
it was
really
kind
moving
of
a ton.
Effective, like and they throw it, like it just.
But we kind of needed to rely on like, hey, we need to pick up some stuff here,
part
and
of the,
he was able to get that
Part of the run issue with the yards per run is when Will took that massive sack. Like those come off of the rush yards.
100%. Yeah.
So when you look at the average, but it wasn't a dominating rush performance. I would say it was effective.
But I thought in the third quarter when we they punted. We get the ball inside the 10. It's like, all right, this is going to be that Penn State drive. We're going to run this ball right down their throat, and we were 3 and out. You know, it's just we just didn't have, you know, those big kind of plays to move the ball on the ground. But, you know, Will made do with what he had to. And, I mean, he that 3rd and 35, pick him at first down on 2 plays. I mean, and that's on him. Rolling out, great in time, finding Carnell on the sideline, and then again, you know, on 4th and 10. I mean, just putting that pressure on him and him coming through, I think that's just huge. And I mean, he's just been awesome.
They didn't score on that drive. That's when they got stuck.
Yeah, but that was like when that momentum, like that was when I was
could have got dangerous.
I was mad at the refs. I was mad at the refs at that moment in time. I'm like, I hope these kids are just saying, you know, screw these guys. We're gonna go take care of this. And then it was like TV commercial in the quarter, so it just kind of killed the momentum that we had, you know, picking up that first down.
That was a big, I think, because that proved you like, okay, you just got 35 yards in 2 plays.
Yeah, let's go do this.
3rd and 35. I don't know if anyone. I mean, I know what we would have run in that situation. We would have run.
Sounds like a draw.
We would have run a draw.
We would have run Dave.
We run get a 7-yard draw and then punt. Ryan said no. Let's see if we can get a chunk. And then there were no man's land. It was like too far for a field goal, too close for a punt. It's 4th and 10, which isn't really ideal. But hey, let it rip.
Let's get it done. You know? Now, I don't love how that series ended. I think there were maybe some play calls that we want to get back, but you know, it is what it is. And you know, the defense, man, they got so much better as that game went on. It was so fun to watch.
I think what you kind of alluded to, that I wonder if we are not scoring as much and trying to be as fast paced because it is dangerous. Like, I think we're trying to make sure we do not make mistakes and try to play the safer routes. I don't know. I was just kind of thinking of that on Saturday, noticing, because I do remember last year, the year before, the score would be so high. And I also think the competition was different too. Yep. So I wonder if the coaches are kind of sitting back like, okay, it's better to stop them from intercepting or than to just run the score up. Let's make sure we're making safe plays and not losing the ball to guarantee, because a win's a win, like we all say. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter if
There's no value in style points here.
Exactly.
Well, they won by...
Then they still won comfortably.
They
won by 3 scores. And I think, Bob, like so last Tuesday, Ryan Day was asked about that again, which was like the number of plays, the pace that Ohio State is playing with. Like, it's down.
It's one of the slowest paces in the country.
It is. And he said, well, that's sort of a lot of factors going into that. It is by design. Like, they're not trying to be trailing 7-0 to Northwestern, Oregon, to Indiana, but they are. And some of these factors: pace of play, length of the season, depth, protection for injuries, and complementary football to make sure that the defense can be fresh to play at that highest level. And there's probably 5 or 6 other factors that can go into that as well. Like, it has taken, I think, a little bit of a mental adjustment to evaluate Ohio State because they're averaging like 23 fewer plays than Ryan Day's first year.
But they're still scoring in the high 30s,
Yes.
low 40s, which is like their points per play is pretty high. But like you said, they changed the clock rules in college football now, so it doesn't stop on every first down. There's fewer plays. Everybody just tries to play it slow on Ohio State. So I think instead of like, hey, let's be anxious and try to push the tempo, we have a really good defense. Let's rest those guys. Let's not have a play count that's into the 80s, and we'll just lean into it like that.
Yeah.
And I think they can play up tempo if they need to.
Well, pretty much every time they get a 2-minute drill,
They go get it.
Mhm.
And so, but I think that's important to be able to play different styles because everybody's going to try to slow it down against you. And you see some teams that when that happens, they struggle mightily. And most specifically in the SEC, you watch some teams that, hey, they're used to running 70, 80 plays and scoring 50 points. All of a sudden they get into a mud sludge and they can't move. And it's like, okay, back and forth. And it's not necessarily that fast tempo and big time scores. And they struggle in the psychology of their team. So I think by doing this, they've kind of insulated the team. We can play defense. We can go score quick when we need to. We'll dominate the middle 8, which is what they have. Early third quarter has just been a bloodletting.
It's nuts.
the next time they give up points in the third
What was
quarter,
it like 129-9 or something like
It's
that? Now
insane.
points scored
Yeah.
versus giving
You
up.
look, I mean, the
No
punt
touchdowns.
It's
return
insane.
or the dropped punt and then the punt return and then they got a 3 and out and then we scored again. Like 21 points. I mean, in actual game time was probably like 8 or 9
Yeah.
minutes. And then it was over. I mean, that was it.
yeah, you knew the game was over. That was the turning point there, Caleb Downs. So we can all raise a glass. To
Hey,
that. That's certainly
10 years in the making, right?
It was
Certainly.
against
Indiana as well.
It was
How about
almost
that?
10 years to the day.
It was 1 day away from 10 years
Yeah.
today. Same opponent, and then that team went on to win a national championship.
Hey,
after a
now.
punt return. So I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, Caleb Downs didn't
What
get
happens?
touched. Usually you get like a guy you have to break a tackle or
Yeah,
something.
Had that nice spin
did
move.
have to spin away from one. I'm gonna
The
give
old
him a
long
broken
sniper. Was
tackle.
that the long sniper coming down to
He
try to
touched
make
him
a?
like that.
Yeah.
That's all that he got. But that's where I'm going to start because I've been talking about special teams for that whole
superior
decade,
superior
needing it
special
to be
units.
a plus, and it was. So I'll start the Roosters Buckeye Leagues for the first time ever. I'm just giving it
Hey.
right to Caleb Downs.
Love it.
I love it.
Nicole, what's
I
in
do.
this beautiful notebook?
Well, beautiful notebook. Yes. So,
Like a street musician over here with some
I say this every week.
music.
The whole team?
I'm
Okay.
I just felt there were a lot of great things to talk about from this game and watching them. And I'm glad we spoke about what we were just talking about. I think that not trying to score as many points as possible has eliminated the anxiety that we've seen last year with Michigan. And we have more control and I don't know if living in the moment is the correct term, but I love to see that for this upcoming weekend. I just think that's a great mental spot for the team.
Yeah.
I also, again, with Coach Day, what was it? Sorry, got to get through these notes here, guys.
Don't let me blow away on
Us
you.
taking over at the 40. They panned over to Coach Day and just his excitement on a lot of plays that I don't remember seeing that in years past.
Mhm.
And I love that they're taking time to celebrate the small moments because that is what keeps juicing the team.
Yeah.
It's just what keeps getting everyone pumped up. So I'm just glad we all discussed that. And
I
it
mean,
makes
they're
me excited for this weekend.
They're playing, I mean, I guess fear and anxiety are emotions as well, but they're playing with more positive emotions.
Yes.
That I think can
Fear and anxiety are
I-
emotions as well.
but like they are enjoying being together. And
Yes.
I think some people, maybe Indiana, feel like that Ohio State was showing them up with the celebrations and the late touchdown. Like, who cares? Their
It's a
coach
top 5
said
matchup.
Ohio
Let's
State
go.
sucks.
Yeah.
And also, we're talking about 18 to 22-year-olds. If they don't have fun playing the game, Nicole,
Right.
this is right up your alley. Like, what are you doing it for?
We've seen it. We've seen that too. We've seen where the anxiety took over and they were just so worried about, the Michigan game or all these things that are ahead and out of their control instead of just living in the moment and doing what they're there to do is have fun and make the plays one by one.
Yeah.
So, and I think we can see Carnell Tate. I'm going to give my Buckeye leaf to him. He had 2 back-to-back huge plays at 3rd and long, 4th and 10, and converted for a first down, which gave us momentum and just was a great way. What was that at the end of the
First quarter.
yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to give it to him if I have to pick one person.
Well, you also were here last week to pay tribute to his return to Chicago.
That's right.
2
yes.
touchdowns there.
Yes.
So it's
correct.
a combined award.
I know. I'm sad I missed last week, guys. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
A couple good weeks for Carnell.
I know.
I'm going to schlegs this up a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I love
There
it.
we go.
Jim Knowles gets a Buckeye leaf.
Yes.
I don't think they crossed the 50-yard line until, maybe 5 minutes ago in the third quarter after that first drive. I think he really dialed that in, and I don't think there was many Buckeye fans out there at the end of first quarter, halfway through the second, thinking, "Hey, we're gonna basically shut these guys out the rest of the game."
Right.
It didn't look that way. He dialed up some things. Now the players played great, but I think a lot of credit goes to him. Cody Simon, Sonny Styles. I think they played pretty awesome on that defensive side of the ball.
James Laurinaitis is doing some pretty good things.
Yeah, 100%. And again, we've talked about Sonny and just the over the year how he's getting better, seeing things. And
said Sonny some of the guys weren't playing very well.
Well, to be fair, like
times have
6
changed.
weeks ago, we could have said that about a number of people.
Exactly. So
And we did.
So it's good to see them.
He said it before then, so you're right.
Yeah, so it's good to see them getting in. Man, I think the defense was awesome. Offensively, Serveld and Hensman jumping into spots where they weren't expecting to on Tuesday of going into practice at Tuesday last week. They weren't expecting that. I think they played really well, and you didn't hear their name called a bunch on Saturday, which is a good thing when you have those guys there. And then Trey, again, I think he is. I mean, he's our number one back coming into this year. I don't know. We're like, Quinshon, and Quinshon's been great. But Trey just looks like he is on a different level right now. And I think when he's in, he gives that extra little spark, and he's seeing things so well. And so I'm going to just give him a shout out. And then, of course, I already talked about Will. Mm-hmm. He's been the backbone of that offense, and I think he is playing at a high level. The first time any quarterbacks had 80 or so many games, 80% completion.
6 games. Over
yeah, I mean, that's
percentage.
pretty impressive. And we've relied on him a lot, and he's done a great job. So there you go. I just give all the Buckeye leads.
I love it.
That throw to Emeka JZ. It's like I feel like you see so many quarterbacks like the tendency is to throw that to the sideline, and I don't know if it was that they schemed it up this way or an adjustment. Like he's throwing back more towards the corner, away from coverage. Like
he's made some plays. I mean, even the 4th and 1. I mean, just there was some pressure coming on, and Emeka across the thing. Now it's wide open, so all you got to do is don't miss a layup, but. He's just done a great job seeing the field very well, giving himself some time when he needs to, and getting those guys. I mean, even that catch to Emeka. I mean, they slow motioned it. I mean, it's right where it needs to be. He's just been very accurate, and it's huge him having all these good games, all that confidence going into these last couple final games of the regular season.
We'll be playing your best at the end of the year.
That's right.
November. It's for contenders. I'm going to give my first Buckeye leaf to Buckeye Nation out there.
Hey, there you go.
Yes,
That's right, Buckeye
that.
Nation.
Now you got to go do it again.
Showing up bigly. Exactly. And this, I felt like that was perfect, a perfect game, like a precursor. Like, not that it was an appetizer, but.
Get you warmed up a little bit for the big dog, yeah.
It's good to get to the top, like the top step of the ladder before you actually step on top of it. The one that says "Do not stand."
Yeah.
But that's where we want to be this weekend.
That's right.
All right, we're going to be standing on top of the ladder.
Get comfortable there first.
Yes. We're looking up. Okay, now it's
getting
time.
your balance. You're up there. You're checking the wind. Now you take that last step.
Take that next step. I'm going to give one to Chip Kelly. Birthday today. 61 years young.
Happy
Right.
birthday,
Happy
Chip.
birthday
Chip
to
Kelly,
Chip.
yeah. Him and Jim Knowles doing a great job.
They are.
I got to give one to Cody Simon.
Yeah.
If you look at what he has been able to do, he came back for his 5th year. I think that there was a thought for him for a while that, hey, my Ohio State college career didn't really go the way that I thought. It might be time to move on in life. And, I mean, he has all-American capability with the numbers that he's put up.
I'm so mad that he is not a Buckeyes semifinalist.
I know.
So mad.
It's wild. But there's a good chance that he'll be an All-American. And rightfully so with the numbers and what he was able to do. Now, granted, he had an invisible shirt on sometimes. I don't know if they saw him running through the line, but he still made the plays. He's done a great job.
It's the block O.
He did.
It's camouflage.
He did miss one tackle in the backfield that I saw.
He did,
which
yes.
was not great. But other than that, he's been awesome. He's been a great leader. Lathan Ransom had a punch out again.
Awesome.
It's like Mike Tyson out there from the early 90s. Now, Cody, I think, missed
Not the new
Not from the 20, not
No.
from 24.
Not the
Now,
Jake Paul version.
Was it Cody that missed the recovery on that?
Yeah.
Yes, he also
bounced-
missed the recovery.
Gosh,
Yeah.
I was like, dude,
I-
you could have had like the stat
I
game of the
know.
year.
I'm sitting up there. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that Cody had that in his hand.
Jumped
Where did
on it, yes.
go?
Somehow it wiggled out.
I saw that. I was like, dude, you got 2.5 sacks, forced fumble, recovered fumble, 10 tackles. I mean, that's
It's a heck of a day.
all-American caliber day.
That's ceiling Big Ten linebacker of the year.
100%. Absolutely. And then, 2 other guys, Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau, both sack and a half and a sack. They've been playing great. And it's good to see them get that production. It was awesome to see like the energy and the excitement and the symbiotic relationship between the players and the crowd, and even the offensive guys, like going into the end of the third to fourth quarter, like celebrating, getting everybody on their feet. Like that makes me really happy. Like I get so excited to see that because I know how good that feels and what that can do for you.
You know what else feels good, Bob?
These mac and cheese bites.
They do.
For only $3.
For $3.
All day. I mean, listen.
Every Tuesday.
I know that you're going to have a lot of stuff going on Thanksgiving, but Tuesday.
You want to get in, you want to stretch that stomach out. You want to stretch that stomach out before
also,
Thursday.
Have it
Hey,
ready.
If
you know
you're
what?
busy,
Or
Get ready.
you could buy some or ahead of time, get them. They're delicious.
Toaster oven for about 8 minutes and your money.
There's your one of your sides.
you might
That
be busy
is.
on Tuesday. You might be making pumpkin pies to get ready for
fair.
Thanksgiving. You know what? Here's the easy
They
solution.
got you covered here at Roosters.
Pop over to Roosters.
That's
It's a fun
right.
casual joint.
I mean, turkey's good, but why not a little yard bird as well?
They're also going to be ready on Saturday, Nicole, because
Yes.
I'm
10
told
a.m.
We're
there's
opening
a pretty
at 10
big
a.m.
Let's go.
on Saturday at participating locations, but like most Columbus stores.
Everyone in
So.
Columbus is participating.
Yes.
There's no
So
way they're not.
10 a.m. Yeah, so people can get in here, get settled,
Get ready.
be ready for the game.
It's almost gift card season.
It is.
That's
Today's the
exciting.
first day of the gift card.
Yeah, there we go. How about
So-
that?
I just had a sense
Every
about
$50 you buy in Roosters gift cards, you get a $10 Roosters bonus
There you
buck.
go.
There we go.
I
So
just
you
could
give
feel it.
and receive.
I could feel it. I knew it was
Lucky
coming.
knew.
Pierre.
And it starts today. So come.
Starts today.
So much to do at Roosters this week. Nicole, what's the vibe? How are you feeling for the rivalry this week?
I feel great. I feel
No nerves?
mentally.
Oh.
I really like.
We're talking
I really
to Nicole
like-
here.
I really like
Nicole?
where the
Nervous?
team stands
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest part. I think the mental, because of the pressure, and every year the pressure is just more and more. And I just am really liking the vibes I get just being around the Woody and just how everybody's kind of viewing this.
Yeah.
So, score wise,
Well, what does that mean? They're up to
20 and a half.
20 to 22 point favorites,
It
depending
was
on where you see
23
it.
and a half. It
I
opened
picked
up.
42.
That's a huge amount
That's-
for
I
a
mean,
rivalry game.
I picked 42-14.
42-14.
In the rivalry.
Nicole is
Let's
feeling
go.
it. All right.
Mm.
Love it. Anything else that we need to be aware of this
That's everything. Our winner Paula from Pickerington went to the Indiana game this weekend. Had the best time. Field passes, and then we have Christine, from more like the Polaris area. They're going to the Michigan game
Oh,
this
wow.
weekend.
All right.
More
Good for them.
people.
Yes.
So again, thank you to everybody who registered for the Buckeye giveaway. It was a wonderful promotion this year.
It was awesome. And thank you to Nicole and everyone at Roosters for having us in here. We're going to let her get about her very busy week, getting ready for the rivalry and Thanksgiving and everything else. But great to have her back. Berm will be here when we return for the second half of the show in here at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They will always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
I tell you what, the
freeze.
mood in the Roosters this week has changed dramatically. And it's not just because Berm is here. That's part of it. But,
Oh, I thought that was it.
but Eric,
Oh,
just bring
Yes.
that, just grab
Where did
it,
Eric
Casey.
go? I thought we were going to bring him on
Let me
camera
just-
for a
Eric needs to
celebration.
pop it. Look,
There's a bunch of these bad boys.
you have
in here.
never seen Justin Zwick respond to anything in his entire life
That makes me so happy.
the way he did to this huge bag of Roosters chips that were delivered.
My man E.
He's over there.
He's
he
over
doesn't
there.
want to come in camera.
No,
but
he's got to
No,
come over and
look
give
at
Come
this.
say it, yes.
he-
high fives. The
he's
My
delivered-
man.
it's
Let's
delivered
go.
for
I showed him.
Thanksgiving.
I showed him, baby.
The chips.
So
Oh, you're gonna open up?
if
Oh.
you need,
got a LeBron James.
Yes.
look
Let's
at,
go.
take your victory lap.
Yes.
Oh my
Uh,
He's-
Hey, don't be
Get
giving
him
my
away.
chips away.
Get him out of my face.
You gotta
You
protect
got to
James.
So
LeBron
good.
James it.
Oh, they smell so good.
Oh, they do.
And
You got to LeBron it and throw it up. In the
No,
air.
you
No,
can't
you would never
waste
waste them.
those.
so
Don't waste those.
if you need Roosters catering, you got to get
Yes.
the chips. It is 10 out of 10.
What a day.
I mean, who needs turkey when you have chicken for Thanksgiving?
That's all you need.
That's right.
Ohio State's win over Indiana, that was a 10 out of 10 too, huh, bro?
Sure. Great game.
Did it set the earth reverberating on the field?
It felt. I mean, it was a really good crowd from the. You know what? It's kind of neat. Oftentimes, like we've been doing this a while, and I don't think that it always hits you the same. Like, man, this is a pretty cool job. Like, it's a pretty cool opportunity. Walking out of the photographer workroom and out into the field, like once all the crowd was there and the game was like 5 minutes away from starting, you look up and you're like, this is what it's supposed to look like in here and what it's supposed to feel like in here. It was everyone was sort of just teetering on the edge, ready to like go nuts, and it was just it was a perfect day for football on Saturday, and it looked exactly like how like the memories I have of like Ohio State football as a kid. That's what it looked like to me.
It's tough because when you have those memories when you're younger, they never live up, and that's probably because you embellish it in your mind a little bit, and then after a while, you've just seen it so much that it becomes commonplace. I always try to tell the guys. The seniors, the second to last game, home game, especially for Michigan, because it's just the game is so big, and then you have senior day and Tunnel Pride. Like when you get to the end of the ramp, just look up.
Take a minute.
Take it in.
And just remember that, because after next week, when you run down the ramp, you'll just, I tell them, you'll be just like me. Like,
you'll be doing the Buckeye Cruise 4-miler running down the ramp. Like, there's not going to be people.
You'll never look through it through the helmet anymore. And just get an appreciation for it, because 4 and 5 years go so quickly, and all of a sudden it's gone. So just try to enjoy it. And it seemed like those guys like legitimately played well, but had a great time, because even when the game didn't go perfect, like you said, they were ready to explode. The fans had to have a long fuse, because it took a minute to get it going.
Well, there was those moments though in the game, those little markers at the end of the first quarter after the 4th down and 10 completion to Carnell Tate. Like that place went pretty crazy, and then they slowed. Then they had to
slow down.
Wait to 10 seconds again. The punt return by Caleb Downs is up there as far as like in my mind with 2016 touchdown by Curtis Samuel in double overtime against Michigan, the block punt against Michigan in 2018.
Is that Olave?
It was Seven
Banks and Chris Olave.
And then on just the entire fourth quarter against Penn State in 2017. Like, that's as loud as I can remember it. But that one moment when Caleb Downs, like when he hit the clearing,
you could see it.
Yeah, he kind of cut back, and it was
that was really something awesome to see and hear. And people, I hope their voices are recovered by Thursday, so they can get a good holiday with their families and have nice, quiet conversation at home, and then get freaking crazy on Saturday.
This is a great opportunity. Get some good.
That's a good idea. You can be like, "Sorry, I can't talk. I got to be ready for Saturday."
A little political conversation in there. Get the family members going.
Oh, yeah. Or just
relax and
or just,
or you
drink some tea and
just get yourself ready for Saturday because
we're gonna need it again.
That noise building when Caleb Downs started to make the cutback back towards the east corner of the end zone, it was like the realization, like, holy
it's
cow.
It's
finally gonna happen.
And it was happening in the press box too, because it was like, oh my God, is this real? Is Austin going to stop talking about punt returns for a touchdown? Yes, we've all
seen one of these in so long.
Our national nightmare is over. It was an incredible play.
Here's the question: could you end the 14-year drought?
No. There's still a mess on kickoff return. That's not going to happen.
I don't know.
Last time that happened was against Michigan.
That's what I said. 2010, Michigan. That game, Jordan Hall. You got Trey back there. You're putting a running back trying to get it done.
It's not working. I don't want to focus on the negatives of that, but there's too many other good vibes going on. Did you have someone that we missed who deserved a Buckeye leaf term?
No, I mean Justin took everyone. I was my guy that I was going to pick was Carson Hinsman. I just think that when you go through everything that he's gone through in the last year, to come out of it on the other end, not just being like a contributing member of the team, but to go out and earn Iron Buckeye this summer, to then still, you head into fall camp with everyone like, there's a chance he could start at guard, and then you get sick and you miss like most of camp, and then you're like, where do I fit in? To then being put into the situation because of 2 injuries on the offensive line, to then being a guard,
playing really well,
and then being put back at center. Like he played very, very well. Now, big game ahead. I mean, but he certainly looked the part. Austin Saraville did a great job on Saturday in that short notice as well. And I think that you can, at the risk of opening a can of worms here that we probably should talk about anyway about recruiting, but Justin Fry deserves a lot of credit.
No, I thought you said fire Justin Fry.
I don't think that you're going to find me on record saying
there was
that.
a lot of people that did.
He wasn't one of them.
I'll just attribute some of it to you.
I would imagine. And to be fair, when I said Sonny was not playing particularly well, he was not playing particularly well. And to be fair, it seems as though he's played a lot better since I said it.
Oh, that's right. I heard his dad.
Challenge was out.
That guy Berm over there. Sonny's fired up.
Wow, what a market improvement. James Laurinaitis deserves a lot of credit. I mean, as we're talking about the coaching
It's almost
staff,
as if like coaching matters somewhat.
It's weird.
Oh, interesting.
It's weird, but having guys that have like been there and done it seems to have an impact on players. And
were you worried about Justin Fry trying to throw the game for his alma mater?
I was not.
Okay.
I didn't think that was
No chance.
A,
We had
a worry.
a big time guy in town, right?
David Sanders showed up.
Yeah, big time. He wanted
to Tennessee commit, #1 offensive tackle in the country. Like
I thought that was the can of worms.
This is
open.
well, that is
That's-
the can of
yeah.
worms.
I wanted to ask you
figure-
about that.
I mean, that was as much of a state secret as I've ever seen around Ohio State recruiting. There were people who, if we had the hierarchy of the Ohio State recruiting room, like number 2 or 3 on that list was like I had no idea till I saw him in the stadium.
The flesh.
So it's definitely. I mean, it's as we record this, it's almost noon on Monday. I think the family is just getting out of town now, so it seems like Ohio State is trending in a very positive direction. The weird part is we don't really have, on the outside, any idea why this is happening.
Yes, you do.
No. I mean, I've been told very explicitly by people who would have no problem telling me otherwise. This is not a money grab.
I'm not saying money grab. I'm saying money is still.
Well, sure, but Ohio State was never short on their offer in the NIL space to David Sanders when he committed to Tennessee. So, like, something else had to have happened at Tennessee. And I don't know if maybe it's like their fan base hates their offensive line coach as much as Justin Fry gets crapped on here.
He deserves. Listen, they better get a big bouquet of flowers.
Something.
If they're able to the next
Pull
2
this
weeks
off.
play as well as they need to, because I mean he can't recruit, he can't coach. I'm like, listen, these guys are all sick. There's a lot of issues. There's some stuff going on.
One position group you didn't want to lose anybody at. We lose 2 starters.
You lose
and
your 2
we,
best players.
we still continue to.
You really lost 3 because you lost
They
3.
lost Zen Mahalski. That sometimes gets glossed over. Like,
Yeah,
that
fair
was-
It's like that happened.
That's
That
true.
was
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
and that's also what forced the shuffling there with Donovan Jackson. So maybe David Sanders and the family that listened to some of the conversation you had over the summer, which is that Tennessee has actually never developed anyone on the offensive line.
I think that's a part of it. There's been 0 offensive line development from at Tennessee. Glenn Ellerby, the offensive line coach there, had nothing to do with the kid in Chicago, Darnell Wright, being recruited there or developed there. And you watch what's happened with Josh Simmons, what the improvement from Seth McLaughlin, what we're seeing out of Donovan Jackson now moving out. I mean, Donovan Jackson has turned himself from a probably mid-second round pick into a high second round pick, I think, with the way that he's performed at tackle.
I think he was talking to him like 4th round pick the way he was playing the first half of the season.
But those things cannot be glossed over. But I think whatever the cause is, it was Ohio State doing the right thing for the last 4 months since he committed to Tennessee in August, which is we're here. If you ever want to talk, we're gonna check in on you. We're gonna make sure all's good. And then beginning of last week, there was a call made to Ohio State to say, hey, we would like to come back and check things out.
New cell, who dis?
And I think they probably had that number stored, to be honest, already. But it's very interesting. If this were to occur, and I think that there's at least a small fraction of a chance, maybe bigger than small, maybe a quarter, 25% odds that he returns again this weekend for the Michigan game.
Really?
Oh, wait now.
That would be obviously pretty telling about what to expect heading into next week's signing period. But if you're Ohio State, you want to have a real handle on this before the weekend. Like you have the Michigan game coming up. You have the early signing period. You have to prepare for Oregon while you're in the middle of the signing period. If you beat Michigan,
super easy.
Like you do not.
Awesome decision.
We already
again
played them once
by the NCAA to move up the early signing period.
Yeah, it's fine to move it up. Let's just move it up like 1 week instead of 2 weeks because this is dumb as hell to have it happening the same week that all these teams are trying to win a game to get to the playoff. And
It's almost like they didn't know the conference championship games were that week.
it's almost like they assumed that the conference championship games are meaningless and should not happen anymore, but they'll never give up that money. So who cares about the coaches?
Well, they're not meaningless because you get a bye if you win them.
Bye is
So
nice.
I don't think that you have to do that to give a team an off.
I'm not saying that, but that is how it is currently comprised.
Yeah, but I don't like it. And that's
I don't like it either, but that is the current rules. So it is fairly significant.
Either way, there's things happening, and it's definitely trending in the right direction for Ohio State. It's also probably a good time to be on alert for a flip from Jordan Woods, a cornerback, 3-star corner from Georgia who's committed to Cincinnati. I would expect that he will be in the Ohio State class by middle of this week. He'll be cornerback number 3, but he's also a guy that gives you a little bit of insurance as 5-star Naeem Offord continues to flirt with Auburn. He's been there, I think, 14 times this season.
That's a lot.
Oregon, Florida also involved, but that's kind of the storyline for the week is if Offord shows up this weekend for the Michigan game like he's been saying he's going to, then I think you take a deep breath and say, okay, we can ride this out to signing day. But if he doesn't, then the potential flip for Woods is pretty big because the Buckeyes also hosted Michigan State commit Aiden West, who's another corner this weekend, and they offered him on Sunday. That one feels like more of an insurance policy in the event that something goes off with Offord, but you're not in a position really where you can wait to say, okay, we'll take you or not. You made the offer. If Offord sticks, now you just maybe take 4 in that case, but we'll see what happens. A big weekend. There were a lot of really good players on campus. There's going to be a ton this weekend. But the David Sanders development is certainly the biggest one in a class that is still ranked number 1 in the country, despite the fact they haven't had a commitment since August 31st.
All right, so before you can get to signing day, before you can get to a Big Ten championship game,
take care
you
of business.
Have to handle business in the game. And you kicked this all off by talking about the offensive line and Justin Fryburn. This Michigan defensive line and specifically the defensive tackles, that's the clear strength. That's where the matchup is going to be.
The best players on their team.
Yeah.
I mean, Mason Graham's
especially because Will Johnson's not. I don't think there's an expectation he'll play this week.
He's been dealing with opt-out-itis, so I don't think he's got a solution for that.
Mason Graham though, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a
Grant? Both of them.
Yes, they've got dudes up there that are really good inside. And so while this defense may not be what it has been, this is the perfect test. If you want to find out if the offensive line's any good, you will know coming out of this, especially on the inside where you've had to replace and shuffle and build this like house of cards. And how sturdy is it? You're going to find out. Like those dudes in the middle are really stinking good. Now Michigan offensively showed a little more life last week. They threw it more with some measured degree of effectiveness. I wouldn't define them a potent offense by any stretch, but it's going to be a tough physical slugfest, and this is exactly how you'd like it.
But I think it was a good test this past week and just getting those new guys in there because I think the 2 guys in the middle for Indiana were pretty solid players. Yep. So at least you get some of that confidence. Like, all right, people were expecting them to, take care of business on us, and we held our own. Going into this, I think that helps them a little bit, just confidence-wise on the offensive line, saying we saw their best guys last week. We're going to see these guys' best guys this week. We still take care of business.
Michigan had to put a little bit on tape against Northwestern for Ohio State to chew on, I think, in the passing game. Ultimately, though, like as good as their as their defensive line is, and it's not just the guys in the middle. They got a couple really good defensive ends as well. It's going to come down to how well Will Howard handles pressure because he's going to get a lot of it.
And he's done well with that this year, I think.
But it's also going to, I think, come down to making sure, and again, we've seen this now, as good as Cody Simon's played the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple missed tackles in the hole. Like Ohio State is blessed to have Lathan Ransom and Caleb Downs, the 2 best safeties in the country, playing behind them. Yeah. But a guy like Donovan Edwards, who we've seen at Ohio Stadium,
fast.
If you miss that tackle, there's a chance that things go wrong. And Michigan's obviously not as good as they've been. They're still a 23-point underdog heading into this week. But what they do well, I think, actually suits up pretty good against this specific style of Ohio State offense, where if this was the 2019 offense, I'm like, oh, this is not a concern. But this slow, methodical offense for Ohio State, if you give the ball back to Michigan,
you have to control the game.
If you don't score points on your drives, then you're going to put yourself in a position where you're in a third quarter game here when maybe that's when anxiety starts to crop up. I do think, and I'd like your opinions on this, like the fact that Ohio State's like emotional leaders now are Will Howard and Caleb Downs, guys who've not lost this game, Do you think that helps? Because I don't think these guys, like, there's other guys who, like, if things start to go a little bit bad in the first quarter, I could see other guys going like, oh crap, here it goes.
They don't carry the emotional baggage of history, I think.
Yeah, I think that matters because I've said it over and over about the 21 game. The fact that Michigan had 50 players on that team who'd never lost to Ohio State, I just think they were like, who cares? We had nothing to do with those other losses.
Yeah, I think that there is an element of that, and Seth McLaughlin was kind of that guy too, and Quinshawn, and so some of those guys that are still involved, I think offensively, yeah, and then Caleb on the back end, and I think that confidence can kind of permeate some of the rest of the veteran guys too, and there is a sense, you heard, by the way, Will's comments in the post game were awesome, like talking about the game moving forward, but then I think there is a sense where these guys all came back literally for this. Yep. Big Ten championship was part of it, on the way to the national championship, but it's been a long time since there was a class that came through here 4 years and did not beat Michigan. A long time. And these guys, this is their fourth and final crack at it, and I feel like they understand that. They've talked about it, and at some point, like, they're playing as well. And I feel like the energy in that stadium last week there will be an effect of that coming into this week with expectations of how it's going to be and just that positive focus.
Yeah, I just hope Will doesn't. I mean, I loved his comments. Hey, we want to win this for all these guys. I just hope that doesn't turn into I got to be perfect. Like, you just want him to go out and play his game and not worry about, hey, we got to do everything exactly right. Get these guys this win. I don't. Just too much pressure on yourself.
I go back to last year, and it was just one of those little anecdotal things that at the time I didn't really put much stock into, and I remember watching the Ohio State team warm up and do their little pregame huddle before Michigan in Ann Arbor, and Kyle McCord saying, "Don't make any mistakes." And I was like, "Man, that is a weird thing to say."
That's I would never say that. No. You want to say play clean,
play with your hair on fire.
Yeah, play clean, play tough, play smart.
And it just gave me a little glimpse into like, okay, this team is going to be tight. And if I go back to Saturday, the way that game ended, Will Howard's celebration, the way that they were like
stomping on
it, so good. I just felt like they were like, "Hey, we're fine." Like this, and Jack Sawyer said after the game, like, immediately, I don't care about this game. Let's talk about Michigan. I love that these guys are saying they want.
He didn't say Michigan.
Well,
yeah, he said something.
I'm editorial
along those lines.
The fact that you saw Will, you saw Jack, you saw the other guys. We want to do this for Ryan Day. Will Howard saying like the Ryan Day haters out there, like, that's good, but you better win it for yourself first. Like, you got to go out there and win this game for yourselves and for the guys on the field. And yeah, you want to make sure people.
It's a family over there, and I think that's how they feel about it.
There is something though, like the defense of their head coach. I think that's.
It's a rallying cry almost for the team.
It's a similar thing with Justin Fry, like how much hatred he got. Those offensive linemen hear that because people are upset because of their play and they push it back on him. The same thing like Ryan's inability to, quote, win top 5 matchups, big games. Like, you're the quarterback. You're the guy that bears a lot of that because you're the one that couldn't get it done for your coach. So there's and Will, obviously the slide and everything that happened in Oregon, like that's all real. So I think it's as much like how much those guys actually care about each other, and that togetherness is not underestimated.
I think it's certainly possible that I'm looking at this through too optimistic of an outlook. But when you bring that up, Brum, it's like, well, they've been through this before, and if they fall behind, could they get too tight again? Could they say
behind in half their game?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Behind against Akron.
Not only like we know the part that this is their last chance to do it. I would think that would encourage them to redouble the efforts. But set that aside, they have been down 10 points in Happy Valley. They have been down at home in a situation that, called back to Michigan games, low scoring, 7-0 against Indiana, sluggish start. I have not seen this team fold in any of those situations. Even, the Oregon game went down to the wire. They had a bunch of things.
That was one game they were headed in.
Yeah, I know, but
one game Ohio State took the ball and marched right down the field and
scored. But they also had things that were, going haywire throughout on defense. I never saw any of that like hanging their head. And again, I know this game is different. I know it, but I'm just saying that I'm projecting, perhaps.
But the reason you have that is because you have a lot of guys who have been through a lot.
They've been through it,
and they've been
including against Michigan.
I'm not expecting it. I just wonder if having guys like Will Howard who don't have the scars of this game on their hearts changes things a little bit here. Because this is a game that just gets into your head. You guys didn't lose this game, so you don't know.
Yeah, we did.
There was one.
I'm sorry, 2003. I forgot that game that you.
Who was that running back that ran on?
Chris Perry.
That's right. I couldn't think of his brother.
You guys
should remove those from their memory.
Well,
and just Burns putting
that's
it right
why I
back
couldn't
in there.
think of him.
But
I was talking to somebody earlier.
You lost this game in Ann Arbor against a good team. You guys were in a weird year, kind of trying to shuffle through the Maurice thing and how the offense was looking without it. That was when the rivalry was like head-to-head. Like, you knew that could happen, right? But then you go into this team, and the 21 team, this 21 class, the 20 class that's still here, the guys like Josh Fryer, et cetera, that are like, we're never going to lose to these guys. And then you go out and you've never beat them. I think it changes things. And Michigan, for all of their problems, is going to come into this game extremely confident. Like, they just played their best game of the year.
Are you sure?
I think they will.
I think they will, too.
I'm 100%.
These dudes have never lost.
And they're going to come out and throw anything they can at us.
They're going to be they just played their best game of the year. They scored 50 points against a Northwestern team that Ohio State had softened up for them the week before. And whatever makes you feel good makes you feel good. They're not going to come into this game afraid of Ohio State. Like, they know the pressure's on Ohio State. So they're going to come in loose. And as Justin just said, like, they've always been very willing to run trick plays, to do things that are outside of the norm for Michigan football. Like, they're going to try to get into Ohio State's heads and start fights and do a bunch of stuff. Like,
and in the rivalry game, somebody who doesn't really have anything to lose, like a team who's 6-4,
6-5,
or 6-5, they can be scary.
So I just think that it's going to – I mean, I've seen that 23-point line, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
no thanks.
That's a lot of points in this game.
Well, you were already acting like that on Saturday.
Yeah, because I
said what? Lay the points.
It's I don't know what that means, but
do you think Michigan is going to cover 23?
I do.
And you think I already knew that his answer was
yes.
Yes.
I don't. Styles make fights always. Michigan's offense is not good.
Ohio State's defense.
Is good, but the way that this game has been shortened, the way that the offense has been being like. If Ohio State, as I said, if this was the 2019 Ohio State offense and everything else was the same, just that mentality, I think Ohio State wins this game by 4 scores. But as you look ahead, do you
think Ryan opens it up then? And lets it?
I hope he does, because here's the thing: if we go back even to Nebraska,
we got
right?
Oregon the next week.
So
you got to just get through this.
It's 7-0 at half against Iowa. The Buckeyes are up 14-6 at halftime against Nebraska. It's 14-7 against Indiana. What was the score at halftime against Purdue? 21-7, but it was 7-7 with 4 minutes to go in the first half, right? Like, this team really needs, because the crowd is going to be so important on Saturday. If this team comes out and bats things around and
plays with their food,
I've said that a couple times the last few weeks. I think that's what it feels like sometimes, but I just don't think you do that in this environment. If you can help it, you go out and you throw that knockout punch early.
You got to do what I'm about to do to these chips tonight. Just devour it.
Because you need that crowd.
So you think Ryan just chooses to kind of like...
I just don't think you let this crowd get
I know, you
anxious.
Yes. Well, there is that nervous energy, and that's why I feel like the Indiana game was important, because it made everybody know what it was like.
There was nervous energy at the end of that first quarter.
There was, but it still felt like I wasn't there. But it felt through the screen that there was still a lot of positivity.
There was never a moment.
I didn't think anyone ever thought that Ohio State was not going to win the game.
And having that, hopefully, that'll carry over a little bit to this week, because I'm with you. That 2022 here, I mean, Berm, it was
should have been a 28-7 game at half.
I mean, it wasn't. Yes, and you're like, gosh, you dominated and you haven't. And I'm like, why does this feel so weird? It's like walking around with tacks in my shoes. Like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. It was bizarre.
And that can happen in this game.
I know, and that's like everybody was sitting there like,
why are we not winning by 3 touchdowns?
Not really to cheer, but just like confused.
Exhale.
Yes, waiting to exhale. Yes, it was a little. I mean, I hate to go to the autoerotic route, but I mean that belt was getting tight, and the safe word.
He hates to do it. Trust us.
The safe word was unknown. You know, and you were just worried.
Fumbling around in the dictionary.
Couldn't find
it.
Couldn't find
papaya,
mango, whatever it is. You know, mac and cheese bites.
I know that nationally this game is being viewed as, Ohio State's going to roll them. Like, it is.
I know
there is a teetering. There's a fine line here between
confidence and cocky.
What Ohio State should do to Michigan and what this game is about. And I'm glad for people like you who did not grow up in Ohio, did not grow up in it, who covered it for 10 years telling me Ohio State's never going to lose to Michigan. And every year me going, stop saying that, you idiot. It's going to happen eventually. And then you're going to ruin things for me. And you've done it.
The last 3 years.
I was right for a really long time.
I will say this as well. One of the things that I heard Jim Tressel say on the Buckeye cruise this year, and kind of put it back onto Ryan, not in a pressure way, but he's like, one of the things when I took over, we started winning, and it's like I wanted to live long enough to watch the rivalry flip.
Right, the records.
The records flip because Michigan had 20-game lead coming in. Since World War II, it's really been Ohio State's, especially the last 25 years. But I think it's 7 right now. And he told Ryan, he's like, I don't know how many more years I got. We better start getting on this, and start hacking away at that a little bit more as we get moving. And I think about that now, it getting stretched again.
Right. This is the worst Michigan team since 2013.
Yeah.
And that was a 42-41 game, and that went down to a 2-point conversion getting stopped. Okay, this, and now that was in
Ann Arbor. That's the worst game. Yeah.
That was in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
That was a different situation. But, things happen.
Could have saved Brady Hoke's job.
Things happen. So, just be on alert.
I'm so sorry.
And be loud.
Firm.
Just don't.
I will publicly apologize. I'm so sorry that I did not know about Connor Stallions. That is on me.
That's very true. It has nothing to.
It has everything.
It has
to do with
some
it.
to do.
Manifested him.
Okay,
that's on you, Austin.
I apologize for it. I'm taking responsibility.
Cockiness is why he was created. He was born of your arrogance.
Born of your arrogance.
I took responsibility.
It was you saying, this will never happen. That led Jim Harbaugh to that deep, dark place where he's like, well, screw it. I have to find a way to cheat.
We got to figure this out.
You did this.
COVID and Connor Stallions.
COVID and Connor.
2 C's.
Both of those are on me. I'm sorry, America. I did it. What's going to happen on Saturday, Jay-Z? What's the score?
Oh, golly gee. The score on Saturday is going to be 37-17.
37-17.
27-9.
27-9.
I don't know how good I feel.
You seem like you're in pain right now.
I don't know.
I hate giving that big of a number
I'm
out
excited.
there,
I do. I was going to say
but we were
21, and then
14-point favorite against Indiana.
Just grew in my mind.
It was 10 by the time that game got done.
Yeah.
Just took a mind of its own.
31-14.
Coming from the guy who says
he's got the.
It's still. I mean, that's.
Oh, who's winning? You didn't say that.
That's not. That's not covering the spread. Michigan is going to do it. I have concerns about Ohio State's tackling in space.
Yes.
And if Michigan's allowed to get things going, now
Indiana ran the ball on us a little bit this past weekend.
But Indiana,
and that's
you
what
have to
Michigan
worry
can
about the
do.
pass. So you
Yeah,
have
fair.
to. This is not that same scenario. I think you'll see less rotating on the defensive line this week because you need to keep your big run stopping guys out there. But to me, this comes down to if Sonny Styles and Cody Simon and Arvell Reese tackle and keep 4-yard runs as 4-yard runs, I think Ohio State 38-13 type of game. And I think you could see the cover, but there's been enough inconsistency in that space this year that and knowing the style of Ohio State's offense, knowing the pressure, give me 31-14.
Okay. We'll see. It's Saturday. The game
I'm
is
excited.
finally here. Huge week.
It's a big week.
Hope everybody has a safe and happy Thanksgiving on Thursday. Enjoy the celebration with your family, and then get ready for the potential big celebration in the horseshoe for the Buckeyes, trying to clinch a spot in the Big Ten championship game and end the losing streak to their rivals. Can't wait to cover it. Got a lot more coming your way on the podcast all week long. Thanks to Roosters for having us. Thanks to Nicole Cox. Thanks to Justin Zwick, Jeremy Birmingham, and Bobby Carpenter. I am Austin Ward. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the game. See ya.